going over how to name alkenes. Alkenes are characterized by having a carbon backbone joined by one or more double bonds. I will walk you through the steps of naming an alkene and give you a bunch of examples so that you're comfortable naming them in no time. Let's begin with our first example. I'm going to keep it easy just so that we can focus on learning the steps before moving on to more complicated examples. Let me move this over here. So step number 1 is going to be finding the longest carbon chain. If you follow along with my cursor, you can see that this here is clearly our longest carbon chain. Step number 2 is going to be naming the chain so that the double bond is at the lowest number. This can be done by naming the chain this way. Okay. Step number 3 is putting the name together. So we want to state where the double bond occurs. In this case, it's 2. We're going to add a dash, and this is going to be hex, and our ending is going to be ene. Another way you might read this would be hex dash 2 dash ene. Both ways are acceptable. Okay, let's move on to example number 2. Let me just clear my screen. And let me draw the second example. 1, 2, 3. So here I've also included a substituent. So once again, our first step is going to be finding the longest carbon chain. So in this case, it's this way. Step number 2 is going to be naming the chain. You can do this either left to right, or you can do this right to left, because the carbon chain is going to be at the lowest number. However, keep in mind that you also want the substituent to be at the lowest number. So for that reason, we're going to go with left to right. So let's go ahead and delete the other way. Next, we're going to circle our substituent. And finally, we're going to put our name together. So here, the substituent is at 2. This is a methyl group. The double bond is at the number 2 as well. This is 4, so it's going to be with the prefix but. And once again, we're going to finish off with that ending ene. 2-methyl-2-butene. Let's move on to example number 3. Once again, I'm going to start off by drawing our chain. This one's going to be a bit different. So this right here is in a cyclic shape. And here is going to be our carbon bond. Step number 1, as usual, is to find the longest chain. Obviously, it's going to be this way. Okay, so let's go ahead and name this. Now, a rule when naming cyclic alkenes is that you want both ends of the double carbon bond to be consecutive numbers. So as you can see, I'm going counterclockwise so that it's 1 and 2. However, if I went clockwise, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, meaning that these two won't be in consecutive order. Therefore, this is the correct way to number this chain. As this is in a cyclic shape, our prefix is going to be cyclo. This is 5, so it's going to be pent. And our ending is going to be ene. We can assume since the double bond is at 1, it's at 1. Therefore, we don't need to explicitly state 1-cyclopentene. Let's move on to the next example. Oops, I forgot the E over here. Now let's move on to the next example. I'm going to go ahead and draw another cyclic shape. Our double bond is going to be located here, and I'm going to add a substituent. Clearly, our longest carbon chain is the hexagon shape over here, outlined by my cursor. So let's go ahead and number it. So we're going to number it starting from the top of the double bond. As I mentioned before, if we go this way, then it's going to be 1 and 6, which we don't want. So we're going to go this way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go ahead and circle our substituent. Now, if we have a pi bond and a substituent, the carbons holding the pi bond get higher priority than the substituent. Keep that in mind. Now let's put together our whole name. So remember in my last video, I mentioned that we want to place the name in alphabetical order, and this holds true for this example as well. So we're going to do 4-methyl. And once again, we can assume that since it starts at 1, the 1 doesn't have to be explicitly stated. So this can be 4-methyl cyclohexene, sorry. And there we go. Let's move on to example number 5. Okay, let's switch things up a bit and make it a little harder. Let's do a double bond here, and let's do a double bond here, and let's add a substituent here. Okay, our longest chain. Let's go ahead and number this. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let's go ahead and circle our substituent. Okay, let's put the name together. Again, we want it in alphabetical order. Our methyl group is at 3. 3-methyl. Note that we have 2 double bonds. So 3-methyl / 1, 4, hepta, and we're going to add the word di and the suffix -ene. So this is our full name, 3-methyl 1,4-heptadiene. Okay, let's close off with a final example. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and draw it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in this case, we're going to have a substituent that is a double bond. So let's see how we're going to name this. So once you look at this diagram, you're going to want to assume that this is the longest carbon chain. However, that's not the case. We don't want this double bond to be a substituent. We want the double bond to be within the longest carbon chain. So let's number it to make it do so. So we're going to start off at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that the double bond is within the chain, making this right here our substituent. So now let's put our name together. Oh, I'm sorry, I named this wrong. So let me fix this, my apologies. Sorry, let's start again. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry about that again. And now let's put our name together. Okay, so our methyl group is at the number 2. So 2-methyl. 1-pentene. So that's the end of the video. I hope you found it useful, and stay tuned for more tips on nomenclature for organic chemistry. Bye!